Today we're finding the perfect house for sale in Grapevine, Texas. We're going to take several considerations into play. So number one, the location. We're going to ask ourselves the 3 C's, if this mic will cooperate, the 3 C's that we're going to need to ask ourselves whenever we're looking to relocate to any place, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So we're going to go into that analysis. And then we're going to jump over into the real estate available for sale in Grapevine at the present moment. So again, what we're looking to do is we're going to find that perfect house for sale in Grapevine, Texas. So we're going to do a complete search of real estate in Grapevine, Texas. Then we're going to hone in on one particular property, which we're going to go through the images, so the images that you see online, along with the property description to point out a few things that might not be as obvious when you're on the home search. And then the third thing that we're going to do together in our live stream is I'm going to give you 3 different ways to purchase this property. So we're going to go through 3 different scenarios to see what the mortgage payment would look like, so which loan might be better for you, and ultimately it's going to be your decision to make, and I'm going to give you all the information. That's what we're going to do today. So again, we're going to find that perfect house for sale in Grapevine, Texas, and we're going to start right now. So first off, let's find that real estate. Let's find that area of Grapevine, Texas, because some of us might have an idea of Grapevine, Texas, and where it is, but we're going to get a little bit more molecular, and we're going to ask ourselves 3 distinct questions that's going to help us make a more informed decision when it comes to buying a house here. So Grapevine, Texas currently has about 131 properties available for sale, with the average price point being $808,000. So as you can see with this average price point, is towards the higher end of our real estate prices here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So a large part of that's going to be because of how centrally located it is. So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. Now, the website that we're on at the moment is jaimeresendiz.exprealty.com, which is directly tied into the MLS, so you have real-time information to make real-time decisions. So as you can see right here, Grapevine is pretty much in the heart of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Any more into the heart, you're going to be in Coppell and in the Farmers Branch, Irving area. This is one of the biggest reasons that the real estate prices in Grapevine are on the higher end. There's a ton of demand for this area, but also Grapevine has a lot of really good characteristics going for it at the present moment. So we're talking about the entertainment scene. We're talking about, well, let's go into the 3 C's because that's going to be important. So the 3 C's that we ask our clients to consider every time they go and search for property is, number one, the commute. What type of commute do you need to have? So essentially, if you're looking to move into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex as an example, and you're working into downtown Fort Worth, well, Grapevine may be an option, but you might also not be willing to commute that far. So a big consideration whenever you're looking for new areas, how comfortable are you with the commute? So number one, just getting comfortable with the commute, because that's going to dictate where you're going to ultimately want to start looking for property. Number 2, the second question is going to be about the community. What type of lifestyle are you looking for? Are you the lake lifestyle type of person? So do you see yourself in the lake? Well, you happen to have one of the best lakes here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is Grapevine Lake, right next door. So it was named after the city of Grapevine, as you could probably already tell. So the community, what type of community are you looking for? Are you looking for entertainment? Are you looking for a new restaurant every night? Are you looking for places to walk, to go to a trail, go to a park? What type of lifestyle are you looking to cultivate? What type of community are you looking to build? That's a big consideration. And the third question to ask yourself, what is the cost? What's the budget that you're working with? So as you saw there in the beginning, the average price point for properties in Grapevine is $808,000. It's on the higher end of the price point when you consider the real estate available in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So again, the 3 C's that we're looking for, number 1 is the commute. What type of commute do we need? Number 2, what type of community are we looking to have? And then number 3 is, what cost do we want to incur? What's our budget? Those are 3 distinct things to look at whenever you're looking for a home. with that being said, let's check out some real estate real quick and then hop into the analysis of a particular property. I want to show you some things to consider as you are searching for property that's going to help you buy homes a lot quicker, more with less stress, not with more, with less stress, and a bit more confidence as you're going through your home search. Because I recognize that sometimes when you're looking to buy a home, it can get overwhelming. It can feel a little bit daunting, especially since it's your first time, even if it's your fifth time. We don't do this enough in order to get that comfort level, especially since we're talking about homes that are over $500,000 in many cases here in the Grapevine area. So the least expensive home for sale right now in Grapevine is $290,000. Now, this home most likely is going to need a ton of work. This is a fixer-upper, an investor special, a sold as is type of property based off of the price that I'm seeing and the condition that I'm seeing the property in at the present moment. Now, so if you have a budget of up to $300,000, Grapevine's going to be out of reach, unfortunately. I know there's a home here that technically is for sale under $300,000, but most likely this home might not be financeable because of the condition that it is in. So you really don't have any options. Now, I would even argue that up to $400,000, it's going to be a little bit challenging to find a home in Grapevine because you do not have that many options. So in the city of Grapevine right now, you have 95 homes to begin with, and you're looking at about, 7-8 homes available under $400,000. So in this price point, you're seeing a lot of competition. You're seeing limited inventory. So it's going to be challenging for you to find a home that you want to live in that fits your criteria, that meets your demands. So up to $400,000 might be a little bit more challenging. Where you are going to find a bit more real estate, a few more options, going to be in that $400,000 to $600,000 mark. That's really where I would feel comfortable in terms of really letting you loose and finding a property there, because you're going to find more options. You're going to find a little bit less demand, and you're going to find, again, really a higher likelihood of you succeeding. So check out that real estate right there, $518,000. Beautiful property. It's in a really good area. I'm looking at the Nabogue Drive. That is a really good area. So you're looking at options here, right? So up to $600,000, I would consider you having a really, really good shot, really good opportunity to purchase a home in Grapevine and be extremely happy with your purchase. So check out that home right there, right? So let's look at one more page here and then get into the luxury space just to see what it looks like. Again, we can dream, right? So we're going to give ourselves a bit of a couple of minutes to vision cast what a home could look like. I want to show you what luxury would look like here in Grapevine. So we're going to go to the most expensive home right now in the city of Grapevine. As you can see, it's $6.9 million. That is a beast of a house, 8,500 square feet, 6 beds, 7 baths. We're going to look at this property for 12 seconds, no more than that, because we got to go into the breakdown of the homes available for sale right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here to the online portal you're most likely familiar with and are currently using, truth be told, and that's going to be Zillow. So let's check out this home very, very briefly. Again, we're not going to spend too much time here because this is not going to be where we're going to use the bulk of our resources. And wow, what a beautiful office here. But we're going to come here very briefly to dream a little bit. Check out that. Talk about open space, right? This design is very cool. A lot of brown, a lot of wood design, a lot of accents, wooden accents that traditionally you wouldn't see in a home, especially in the luxury space. So here you have what seems to be a chef's kitchen, really, because it's behind closed doors. If you have pups, this is gonna be a really good spot for you. You have a doggy bath there. Incredible primary bedroom, an incredible primary bath. Check that out. Now this is the definition of luxury. Very cool. It looks like you have a really good view too. I wouldn't be surprised if this overlooks the lake. Wow. Wow, what a beast of a house. Cool. Again, we're going to spend a couple seconds there. We're not going to spend a ton of time. So let's actually go back and do what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to find the ideal home for sale right now in Grapevine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an example. We're going to go through a specific home and we're going to look at it from the pictures. We're going to look at the description. We're going to look at things that might not be as obvious from just the outset. So I want to show you how to actually look at homes from a real estate professional angle. So let's go into, we don't do these types of properties here. So let's check this out. Let's check out this property right here. It's $618,000. That's in around the ballpark of the median price point in Grapevine. So that's going to be a good starting point for us. So just like most home searches, we're going to go back once again to the portal that we're most comfortable with, which oftentimes happens to be Zillow. So there's a few things that we're going to point out real quick, but more importantly, we're going to get into the home and look at the pictures just to as if you were purchasing this property, so you know what things to look for, certain things that might not be as obvious that might help you in your home search. So this home's listed for $615,000, 4 beds, 3 baths, 2848 square feet. Let's see here. It doesn't appear to be an HOA, so that's awesome. It appears to be on a quarter of an acre, and it was built in 1985. So we're getting close to a 40-year mark, which is fine. Is that 40 years? What's that? 15, 25, 30. Sorry, I'm struggling with math right now. So 30. Yeah, it's getting close to 40-year mark. All right, so let's check this home out. Now, before we do that, though, let me give you 2 quick disclaimers, because here I'm going to start making some observations that might feel a little bit critical, might feel a little bit very armchair quarterback, and just they might look too I might be overly harsh. Now, that's not the intent. That's not the purpose. I'm trying to be super respectful to the listing agent and to the homeowner alike. But there are some things that I'm going to point out here. So several reasons for that. Number one, the small things really say a lot about the big things. So something, as an example, the landscaping. If we find that the landscaping is really not well taken care of, well, I consider that to be a minor thing, a small thing. Well, that small thing and minor thing really lets us know that potentially the bigger items are also being ignored. So the HVAC, the foundation, the water heaters, those main ticket items, those big ticket items that we may need to, those expenses that we may need to incur because of the negligence of the home maintenance. So again, the small things really say a lot about the big things oftentimes. The second reason that I might be addressing a few things very what might feel a little bit nitpicky is because oftentimes when you're looking for property and when you're searching and when you're buying a home, you're spending 30 to 45 minutes in a property before you're actually making your decision to purchase a home. It can go that quickly, and oftentimes it does, especially in hot real estate markets. So you might find yourself going and seeing 5 different homes, and the one that you ultimately end up making an offer on, well, you probably spent 30 minutes in it. So that's why I want to make these breakdowns where I show you a few things here to consider even before you get into the property. So when you get into the property, you're in ready mode. You're in the mode that you're required to be in order to make a very astute and educated real estate decision, right? So those are 2 reasons. The small things really lend itself to the larger things, and 2, you don't have that much time in these properties before you're making an offer oftentimes. So I want to prep you as best as possible for that. All right, so with that being said, let's check this out so we know what we're looking at the present moment. I do believe that this home has actually been AI enhanced. So we're going to take this with a grain of salt, with mostly because I see the greens and the way that they are being presented, on also the background of the clouds and stuff. So this looks a little bit AI enhanced, but overall it does look like we have pretty simple landscaping, and it has been maintained from what I'm seeing, and same with the yard. So it appears to be in a good spot. I see a little curvature here. I don't know if this is just the bend of the street or if this is getting close to a cul-de-sac. I do like the fact that this is behind here you have a green belt. So you do see some homes over here, but there is a gap which lets us know that there could be a hiking trail back here, or just could be straight up could be a greenbelt, where those typically do command a little bit more in price, and also really there's a bit more demand for those. I don't see any solar panels from what I'm looking at the present moment. So overall, I think we're in a good spot. Okay, so this is just a curvature of the road. That's good to know. So we're looking at a 2-story home. And you do, now I know this is nuanced here, but you do see some like properties here, right? So you see properties that are very similar in size. You're seeing in the similar in architecture, because sometimes, depending on the neighborhoods, especially if you don't know that area, you could find yourself with a super like phenomenal property that was either recently built or built a few years back from an individual builder that put a property that really sticks out in a good way. I mean, it's a beautiful property, but in an area that really you're not seeing similar type properties. And that happens a lot, especially in older areas. But here it looks to be right on pace with the neighbors. So you're in a good spot from a resale value. Now we might have a gate back here based off of the gate that I'm seeing, or based off of the fence that I'm seeing there. But yeah, we do have a gate, which is cool. I do like the fact that we already have some gutters in place. As you can see, we have some gutters already installed. I believe that's what I'm seeing here. So that is an expense that we won't need to incur once we purchase this property. As we come in, we have double doors. Now these double doors, there seems to be a screen out front. Now typically when we see that type of screen, there's usually a screen, so a blacked out screen, so as to help out with the sun rays. We have double doors here, which always welcome in my book. We have hardwood floors throughout the first floor. So you have hardwood floors from the entrance into the kitchen over here. We have some tile. Now I'm noticing a bit of popcorn ceiling up here. So this was built in 1985 as a reminder. So we're getting into the 40-year mark. So there's some aspects of this home that have been updated, and I'll call those out, but there's also some aspects of the home that haven't. And one of those things happens to be up here. So I even see a little bit of what appears to be some water stain up here. So we could run into an issue where upstairs there could be a bathroom, there could be something that leaked here. So it's something that we would need to address whenever we're for sure getting our inspection done, which a quality inspector would be able to call that out either way. All right, so we do have a little bit more dated kitchen than what, if you've been especially looking at new homes, this would feel a little bit more dated beyond that, just based from the color itself or the staining of the cabinets, and even the counter, right? So it is granite, which is always welcome, but at the end of the day, it does feel a little bit more dated than what you might be a little bit more accustomed to. But remember, this is a 40-year-old property. You do have backsplash here, so tile backsplashes, so you have a big core elements. Now it looks like this home was either temporary occupied. There's some indicators of that, like you have this table. So you're not used to seeing that type of table there, especially to hold your TV. You have a little mini fridge here, so there's some elements that are a little bit unique to this particular home. Now again, this isn't me trying to be critical or anything like that. This is just me pointing out a few things that would come up as you were going to this property. This is electric, so we do not have gas apparently in this particular home. This is where your dining room would be. This is being used as an office at the present moment. And we have this is an original. Maybe this was updated at some point in time, but this is an original tub, wallpaper. Everything here screams original from the 1985 era. Then we have here a bedroom. I don't think this is a primary bedroom. So as you're walking in, so let's just get a little layout of the land. Over here on the right hand side, we have what's being used as an office. On the left hand side, I'm going to assume is the kitchen and the room that we saw earlier. And then going upstairs, and back here we have the living room. Just to get an idea of where things are at. So this appears to be the primary bedroom ish, because it is a little bit larger. Now again, we have the same popcorn ceilings, and then we have so we have the bathroom. So we have the toilet over here. We have the everything else original, from the sinks, from the fixtures, and everything in between. Now again, there's nothing wrong with this. I mean, everything should be priced accordingly, especially when you present your offer. But it's something to be mindful of as you're going through this property. You might find yourself investing in a property like this with the intention of rehabbing it or modernizing it to today's quote unquote standards, which at that point, of course, you would need to factor that into your price, because sometimes they're not priced appropriately, so the market would need to correct that. So we have the bedrooms here. A lot of wallpaper. As you can see, wallpaper was a big thing, big deal, big investment back in the day. I believe this is your 4th bedroom. Good sized rooms, by the way. Then your backyard. I do like your backyard. You have a huge tree back here for some shade. It does have a bit of character. So you have some green over here and a good amount of landscaping down here. So it looks pretty darn cool. You have a big retaining wall down here. So just be careful with that slope. And then, oh wow. So you have the retaining wall and then a ton more. So this is on 1/3 of an acre. Be mindful of that. So there's plenty of space for a pool if that's what you want. Now I did see that notice that the neighbors do have pools, so you might want to get friends with your neighbors and go and check those homes out. I'm sorry, go and check out that property. You have a place for your fire pit. Awesome, very cool property. We're gonna buy this. So 615. So we're gonna go and put this into our calculator. So this Loan Clarity Advisor tool is linked down below. Now this is a tool that was created by Win the House You Love, which is a YouTube channel that we are friends with our creator Kyle Seagraves. So make sure you drop some love over on his YouTube channel, and also again, this is linked down below for you to use your own numbers and really do the exact same thing that I'm doing right now, but for the property that you're looking to purchase. So for our purposes today, we're going to go with $615,000. That is a purchase price that we're going to go with for this property here in Grapevine. That is our goal right now. Getting the breakdown on this particular property at this point. That's what we're going to be doing. So we have the price, that we have the purchase price, and we need to go into 3 distinct things that we need to find out before we can actually make a more concise breakdown of what the loan is going to look like in different scenarios for the next 5, 10, and 30 years. So we need to find the HOA, we need to find homeowners insurance, and we need to find property taxes. So in order for us to do that, let's do a brief recap of what is being shared with us right now in the listing description itself. So we're going to check out the property description just in case there's something here that jumps out at us that we might need to know before we ultimately make an offer. But for sure, we're going to be looking at the details, the property attributes, in order for us to get that information, for us to accurately assess the property taxes and everything in between. All right, so let's check this out. Welcome home to the sought-after Creekwood Addition, located in desirable Grapevine area, and showcases this amazing residence. Featuring 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, this property is situated in the acclaimed Grapevine Colleyville ISD. That's going to be important for us for property taxes, so just make note of that. Situated on a greenbelt with a fabulous large backyard, great for barbecues and great in family gatherings. Its proximity to Parr Park enhances its appeal, offering scenic views, walking and biking trails, and a variety of outdoor recreational activities. This prime location also ensures convenient access to DFW Airport, shopping, dining, and schools. For those who value a serene and nature-filled backyard, this property is an excellent choice and is a must-have. New 40-year roof just installed, so that's pretty good to know. Goes back to the small things leading itself into the big things. So here, well, let's talk about this. So we're looking in Tarrant County, so that's where Grapevine happens to be. And I think all of Grapevine is in Tarrant County, so we're in a good spot here. Year built 1985, so we're getting to that 40-year mark. At this point, we should have a few water heaters under our belt, or this property should have a few water heaters under its belt in terms of having been replaced. At this point, this home should have, we're probably looking at the second HVAC unit already in place. So at some point, the HVAC units do go bad, or they're not going to work forever. So at this point, I do suspect that you're working on the second HVAC unit, if not the third. So that's something to be mindful of because you're 40 years in. Taxes, do not get married to this number. I can guarantee that this number is different, and I can also guarantee that's going to be way different for you. So with the property taxes that get reflected, that's what the present homeowner is paying in property taxes. Now, simply because the present homeowner is paying this amount doesn't mean that you're going to be paying this amount. The way that property taxes are calculated, which you'll see here shortly, has more to do with the property owner and the assessed value. That's its own package. So you're going to be a new owner, and there's going to be a new assessed value. So I'll talk about exemptions and everything that comes along with property taxes here shortly. Do not get married to this number because you're going to be paying, most likely, unfortunately, more in property taxes, just as a heads up. $615,000 is what we're going to be buying this property for. So 4 beds, 3 baths. All right, 2848 square feet. Okay, and we're on 1/3 of an acre. Very good size lot. Now, this information is pretty standard, so unless I see something that's a little bit different, I'm not going to really call it out because it's something that you can review on your own. We're looking at 3-car garage. That's pretty cool. That's unique. That's good. We're looking at, what else? I don't believe this had an HOA, so we're going to be in a good spot there. School district, we already knew that was Grapevine Colleyville based off of the description. All right, HOA, none. We got that already. Okay. The rest of the information is pretty standard. Nothing really jumps out at me. Most of what we're seeing here has already been identified in the pictures themselves, so we're in a good spot. All right, so now let's continue on our journey. Let's get these numbers gathered together. HOA, monthly HOA is $0 since there's no HOA. Monthly homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance is just a simple calculation, a simple estimate that we like to do with properties. So we have a realistic expectation of what our mortgage payment's going to be. So the math that we use here to calculate our premiums for home insurance is very simple. We apply 0.75% times the value of the home to get us our yearly rate. Then we just divide it by 12 to get our monthly. So again, 0.75% times the value of the home. That gives us a reasonable, conservative number oftentimes of what we're going to be paying in home premiums, homeowners premiums. So what we're going to do is 0.0075. So 0.0075 times 615. And this gives us $4,612, so $4,612 in homeowners insurance premiums. Now, this is an estimate. Yours could be a little bit higher, could be a little bit lower. Just depends on several things. Your coverage amounts. It depends on the history of this home. It depends on your history, if you've been submitting claims left and right, and among other things. But for all intents and purposes, we're going to budget in through our purchase of this $384 a month in homeowners insurance. That's our budget that we're putting in. Monthly taxes. Property taxes are a real thing here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So there's a few things to know. When you buy a home, you're paying property taxes come heck or high water. That's the reality of the situation. The second thing to know about property taxes, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, the range is about 1.8% to about 3% in property taxes. That is the range of the property tax rates here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So we're going to need to find that type of information. The third thing to know about property taxes, especially here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, there's up to 5 numbers that we need to find to get us our true property tax rate. So it's not just one single number that we need to look at. It's up to 5 different numbers. The city tax rate, the county tax rate, the ISD tax rate. These numbers are going to be across the board, regardless of the regardless of the city. You're going to need to find these 3 numbers for each individual city. So those 3, city, county, ISD, for sure. Then there's other 2 numbers that do present themselves in many of the cities as well. And that is the higher education tax. So think of community colleges, and the hospital network tax. So if you're in Dallas as an example, think of Parkland Hospital Network as your tax rate there. So you're looking for up to 5 numbers. So what we need to do now is we need to find what is Grapevine's Grapevine, Texas property tax rate. All right, so we're going to go straight to their website to see if they give us that information outright, and they do. So as you can see here, they give us the city tax rate, the county tax rate, the ISD tax rate, and in this particular case, we do have the other two that I was talking about, the higher education, so Tarrant County, and JPS, the healthcare network, so the hospital network. So we're going to be adding these together, this one, as our property tax rate. So actually they added it for us, right? No, they didn't. That's an example. So let's add these 5 numbers real quick and get the property tax rate that at least they're proposing for next year. Granted, it hasn't happened yet, but we're gonna speak it into being by doing this calculation. So we're gonna put 0.2411 plus 0.9233 plus 0.1945 plus 0.1945 plus 0.1121. Which you're not gonna believe this, but this is among the lowest in the entire DFW Metroplex. Some of the reasons is because it's rare, and I mean ultra rare. Like I can count on maybe 3 fingers how many ISDs have less than a 1% property tax rate. This is the highest tax number, so it's the highest tax rate that you're gonna find. The ISD, by the way, when you compare it to in each city that you go to, the highest number is going to always be your ISD. That's the case here, but it's usual that the ISD has over a 1% property tax rate. So it's abnormal that this happens. The city tax rate here, this is also abnormal. Typically here for this, the city tax rate, you're looking at 0.4 to 0.89 in some cases. So for this to be 0.24, that is abnormal to say the least. So you're saving a lot of money from these 2 numbers. I'm almost in disbelief. if we're gonna be real about it, I'm almost in disbelief. A large portion of your savings here, you're seeing that 1.13 was, I guess, a Grapevine Colleyville used to be 0.13. So this is close to the lowest in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which is shocking. I'm used to getting this type of rate from Southlake. I'm used to getting this type of rate from Colleyville. I'm used to getting this type of rate from Highland Parks, but from Grapevine, this is a little bit abnormal. We're gonna take it though. we're gonna absolutely take it. Yeah, this is. Hopefully this passes, because if this does pass, you're looking at I'm gonna go ahead and say it. This is the lowest property tax rate in DFW. Hopefully somebody, I mean, you can fact check me, but based off of all the breakdowns that we've done, and we've done hundreds of breakdowns, I haven't seen one. I don't recall there being a less one than the range that I typically give of 1.8 to 3%. So we'll take it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do 0.0166. So 1.66%. We're going to multiply that times the value of the home. Now we're going to multiply it against the market value to give us a conservative number. We're not going to multiply times the assessed value, which is usually a little bit lower because of the exemptions, because of all that fun stuff. So we're going to use this. We're going to get a conservative number right now. So we're going to go 0.016655. which is that 1.66% that we were talking about in property taxes. And we're going to multiply it times the market value. Again, we're not using the actual assessed value. We're using the market value. And remember when I said, hey, don't get married to this number. Don't get married to this property taxes. The reason I said that is because this number, it just is not obtainable today. Several reasons. One, the property value, like even if this is marketed at 615, the assessed value is probably somewhere around the 500s when you buy it. But this homeowner, based off of my experience, I can tell you that this homeowner has lived in this home for quite a while and has been protesting property taxes quite well. And they've also been limiting the amount of what do you call it? There's a cap on how much your home can go up in assessed value per year if you apply a homestead exemption. So they've done a really good job of property tax preservation, basically. So they're saving themselves a lot in property taxes. So when the home transfers ownership, you're going to be at another assessed value, and you're also going to be applying different types of exemptions. Your type of exemptions, whether that's 65 plus, disability, homestead exemption, really applies to pretty much everybody if you're using this as a primary homeowner, a primary residence. All that to say is this tax number that I'm looking at right now is a conservative number of $10,242. The real number lies somewhere in between this $6,500 and this $10,000 mark, but err more towards my number of 10,000. So the true number, if we're trying to be a little bit even closer, the true number in property taxes for this particular property is going to be a little bit over $9,000, I would estimate. But we're going to use our conservative numbers, as I mentioned earlier. So we're going to divide this by 12, and we're going to say that our property taxes right now in this property is about $853 per month. That's what our property taxes on a conservative number is for the purchase of this home. So let's continue. Now, if there's any questions on this, let me know in the comment section down below. I know that I just threw a lot at you, and if this is a new concept for you, this might not make sense. So I want to make sure that I share as much as possible. All right, so we're going to give ourselves 3 different loan options. We're going to give ourselves 3 different ways to buy a home. So whenever you buy a home, oftentimes you're getting taken out a loan. And now there's different types of loans, but essentially when you get a loan, it becomes what's called a mortgage. So if you use a loan to buy a house, it's the same thing. Loan, mortgage, loan. Think of them the same way there. So when you buy a home, you're taking out a loan. And there's various types of loans out there. There's conventional, USDA, FHA, VA, portfolio loans, jumbo loans. There's so many different types of loans out there, but the 2 primary ones that come up oftentimes is conventional and FHA. So those are the 2 most common types of loans. Now, when you get a conventional loan, the minimum down payment that you need to be able to get into this loan is 3% down. So the minimum down for a conventional loan is 3%. The minimum down for an FHA loan is 3.5%, so just a little bit more. So those are 2 big distinctions. Conventional, minimum 3%. FHA, minimum 3.5%. Now, I am going to give us another option here of a conventional once again, but this time at 20%. The reason being is because once we put 20% down or more, we avoid what's called mortgage insurance, which means that if you put 20% or less, with either one of these each one of these loans, conventional or FHA, you're paying what's called mortgage insurance. What is mortgage insurance? Well, mortgage insurance is an insurance that the lender puts on you in the event that you default. So essentially, it's a way for them to mitigate their losses. So whenever, unfortunately, if you default on your loan, not only do they take their property back, but they're also insured, and they're going to mitigate their financial impact on their books. So that is them taking out another insurance policy on you. Now, here's the thing. You're paying for that. You're paying an additional expense. You're paying an additional fee, percentage, whatever you want to call it. You're going to see what that amount ends up being, but you're paying additional for that financing option because we didn't put 20% down. Is this making sense? So again, if we put less than 20% down, we're paying mortgage insurance. Now, one last distinction before we start making more moves. If we go with a conventional loan under 20% down, eventually when we do hit the 20% mark in the years to come, that mortgage insurance goes away. You no longer need to be paying that. From an FHA perspective, that mortgage insurance never goes away. So for that life of the loan, you're going to be paying mortgage insurance. That's a big distinction that we need to be mindful of. With conventional, eventually mortgage insurance is a thing of the past. With FHA, it's never a thing of the past. It's a thing of the present until you pay off that loan, until you sell that house, or until you refinance into another loan product. All right, so I think we're on the same wavelength there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put our scenarios, and we're going to start working through the rest of these numbers together. So we're giving ourselves conventional 5% down, FHA 5% down, conventional 20% down. Now I use 5% over here for our down payment because that's really the most common amount of down payment that our clients end up going with. Now they go between 5 to 20% is where they're at. Oops, I put 30. All right, loan length in years. So we're going to go 30 years on all three loans. Interest rate. The interest rate is going to vary hour by hour, and it's going to vary depending on the type of loan. But for our purposes today, we're just going to go and keep it very, very simple. We're going to play the averages. What we're going to do is we're going to go over to Google and put what is the interest rate today. We're going to go to bank rate, and we're going to look at this. September 2nd, which is the time of this recording. The average rate right now is 6.46. So we're going to go over here and put the average fixed rate is 6.46, 6.46, 6.46. That is the average interest rate at the present moment. Now, when you get quoted a amount, when you get quoted on your mortgage interest rate, you have the option of buying down that interest rate. So if you get quoted at 6.46% today, just based off of your financials and all that fun stuff, you can buy down that interest rate, which is called buying down points. When you buy down 1 point, the cost for you to do that is going to be 1% of the value of the loan. So if you borrow $600,000 as an example, 1% of that's going to be $6,000. So it costs you $6,000 to buy down 1 point. Now, how big of an impact does that have with your interest rate? It's not exact, but I'll give you an estimate. I would love it for it to be a 1 percentage point reduction, but that is not the reality. That's not the case. So 1 point does not mean 1% decrease in interest rate. But what it oftentimes does mean is about 1/4 of a percentage point. So here, the math that I do is about 0.25% in reduction. So here, if I were to buy 1 point, it would come down to about 6.23 or so ish in the interest rate. So that's the math. That's the rough and dirty math that I share with clients and that I do with our analysis, just to give us a ballpark. Every lender treats it a little bit different. Every lender charges different fees. So that's why we're not going to be filling out the rest of this information here. I would much rather when you get quoted, I want you to put the amount of fees here. Like as an example, if we buy down 1 point, then you would put the amount of points that you're buying and also the amount of fees that your lender is charging, which could be 1 to 3%, depending on the loan size and really the lender. So I'm going to leave these 2 blanks here for the purposes of these scenarios. I just want to get more of the loan cost from the long term and the percentage that you have access to right now, because the points are going to be different and the lender fees are going to be different as well. But you have all the information, you have all the tools here to compare apples to apples. Monthly mortgage insurance, since we have 2 loan options, conventional 5 and FHA 5, option 1 and option 2, these are going to carry mortgage insurance. So you're going to see the numbers in real time of what that means in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and 30 years. If you plan to make some extra payments into your loan, make sure that you do select that here and how much more you're going to be paying towards the principal, either monthly or in lump sum, to give you an idea of how much faster you can pay off the loans and also how much money you're going to be saving with these extra payments, because it really makes a huge difference. All right, now let's look at this as far as the loan cost. So what is the breakdown? How much does it actually cost us to borrow this money? Let's see if I can get a good medium here if we zoom in. All right. After 10 years, if we get this 20% down, it would have cost us almost $300,000 just in interest. That would have been our expense. If we would have gone with 5% FHA, it would have cost us $358 in interest because we borrowed more. And then it also would have meant that we're paying mortgage insurance because we didn't put 20% down. And since this is an FHA loan, we're paying a financing mortgage fee, which essentially is 1.725% of the loan. So that is another fee. So as you can see, this plus this, are fees additional because we didn't put 20% down. Conventional 5%, it would have cost us $351,000 in interest alone, plus the mortgage insurance as we were making payments. So the mortgage insurance will probably, on a conventional 5% down, you'll probably get rid of that within about 10 years on paper. If the home appreciates a little bit faster, then you'll probably get rid of that mortgage insurance in about 7, 8, 9 years, depending on how fast the home appreciates. But I'll show you the breakdown here shortly. So when you compare these in terms of the cost, what is the loan, what does it cost you to borrow this money, you see the breakdown here after 10 years and how much money you save if you go down the conventional route. So you could also change this left and right to see after the 30 years, you'd be saving $197,000 under this conventional plan. Now I know what is going to come up oftentimes is, well, of course I would like to do that 20% down, but I don't have $123,000 to do so. I don't fault you. Very few people have that. Just know that this is an option if you do have 20% down. If you don't, the minimum down payment for an FHA is 3.5. The minimum down payment for a conventional is 3%. So you have ways to get into this property. Yes, you are going to be paying mortgage insurance, and it does give you the breakdown of what that ultimately is going to look like. So in 30 years, if you do a conventional 5% down, in 30 years your mortgage insurance is going to be $33,000. Notice that's over 30 years that you paid in mortgage insurance. And that's still far, far better than having to wait and trying to get $123,000 to get that amount in to avoid mortgage insurance, right? So oftentimes our clients want to pause and have enough money for 20% down. And while that might be a reality sometimes, it might take us a little bit longer than we would like for, but by that time we have that 20% down, then the home prices have gone way higher, right? So we don't know what it's going to look like in 30 years. But just something to consider. Let's talk about the monthly payment. Let's look at that first year because it is going to change with the years that go by. With your monthly payment at year one, you're going to notice a few things. You're going to notice that all three loans are going to pay such little into the principal and so much into the interest. At the first 20 years of your loan, of the 30-year loan, the first 20 years, most of your payments are going to be more towards the interest than your principal, meaning you're going to pay more in the interest amount than the principal. It's not until like year 19 and a half or so where it inverts, where you're paying more towards principal and less towards interest. And you can check that out in the amortization table down below, which is right here. In this amortization table, you see that breakdown, right? So you're seeing that more and more gets paid. This column right here is in the principal. This is into the interest. So you're going to see that breakdown down there that I was referencing. But let's continue over here so you can see it. Year one, again, we're talking about year one. This is roughly what you would be paying in property taxes regardless of the loan that you're in. Homeowner's insurance, this is roughly what you would be paying in homeowner's insurance regardless of the loan that you're in. And this is mortgage insurance that you're going to be paying on conventional 5% mortgage insurance. Sorry, I got distracted here. So conventional, you're paying this in mortgage insurance. FHA, you're paying this in mortgage insurance. And conventional, within that first year, you're paying zero in mortgage insurance, and forever, because you put 20% down, you're not paying anything in mortgage insurance. And again, I'll show you the break where the conventional 5% down, eventually you get rid of that mortgage insurance. So for your monthly payment, roughly, you're looking at $5,200 for your conventional, $5,221 for your FHA, and $4,334 for your conventional. This is an estimate factoring in the principal and interest, which is pretty spot on. The property taxes a little bit overestimated, and homeowners insurance might be a little bit tad overestimated as well, but not by much. So this is going to be roughly the ballpark of your monthly mortgage payment. Now let's talk about equity. At any point in time, this tool again is linked down below, or you can just go to winthehouseyoulove.com and get this. At any point in time, you get to see how much of the home you own. So you see that in year 22 as an example, how much of the home you own here. On a conventional 5%, you own 55% of it. FHA, you own 54% of it. With your conventional 20% down, you would own 62% on year 22 of that loan. So year 30, you own 100% of it. That's when you paid off the loan. So this gives you a really clean snapshot, very interactive snapshot of how much equity you own in that home. Now, I kept talking to you about, hey, eventually your conventional 5%, you're done with that mortgage insurance. Well, on paper, that mortgage insurance falls off after 10 years and 3 months on paper. This does not factor in the appreciation of your home. So as your home appreciates, then you could pay off that mortgage insurance, or it falls off your mortgage insurance in years 9, years 8, or 7 years. So it gets less than this. It won't be more. All right, so let's talk about selling and appreciation. Oftentimes, we get so really mired down into our entry, into the purchase price and all that fun stuff. And while that is important, it's almost as important our exit strategy. It's almost as important our intents for that real estate. So as an example, if we're looking to buy a house right now and we plan to move next year, sometimes it might make more sense if we just don't buy a house right now and rent for a little bit, right? Or if we're just getting into the area and we don't necessarily know the area all that well, it might make sense for you to rent for a little while. So I'm not the type of realtor that you probably see on Instagram and TikTok that, hey, buy. It's not always the right answer. So again, whenever we work with our clients and we do our discovery calls, our information is linked down below for you to schedule that. We try to look at the entire picture. What are your plans for this real estate? What are your plans? Do you want to eventually move in here and then rent it out? Or do you plan to make this your forever home? There's different strategies that we can deploy to get you the best bang for your buck and really make a very sound real estate decision. So for our purposes today, I want to show you one of the most common analysis that we do with our clients, and that's the 10-year analysis. Meaning, on average, a homeowner is going to stay in their home for about 8 to 10 years. That's on average. And we do the 10-year analysis based off of that stat alone, where here in 10 years, you're probably going to call us up and say, hey, Jaime, I love the home that we purchased, but we're ready to go on to another part of either DFW or in the same city of Grapevine, but more into the luxury space. So after 10 years, remember, we're doing this breakdown off of this Grapevine property that's valued at $615,000. So in 10 years, let's see what benefit we would have gotten from it. So if we say that this home's going to appreciate by 3% every year, which is very reasonable, what's that going to look like after 10 years? We can also factor in that our cost to sell in about 10 years is going to be, let's say 6.5%, whatever the case may be. So this will factor in realtor commissions, title work, maybe fixing up the property a little bit more. In 10 years, we're going to spend 6.5% of the value of the home to sell it. That's going to be our cost to sell. Tax increase per year, we're going to say that taxes are going to increase 3% per year, which is a pretty safe bet. Your property taxes will go up. If the rate doesn't go up, your assessed value will go up. So one way or the other, property taxes are going to increase. Just know that. Homeowners insurance is also on the rise as well, especially right now, because you can see it from your car premiums, your home premiums, just any type of insurance premiums. They are going up. So we're going to pretend that this home is going to increase. This homeowners insurance policy is going to increase by 3% every single year in premiums. So that means that after 10 years, the home has appreciated $211,000. The cost to sell would be $53,000. Loan costs would vary depending on the loan that we got. So conventional 5%, FHA 5%, and conventional 20%, each has a different number. Property taxes is going to be the same throughout either one of these loans. Homeowners insurance is going to be the same throughout any of these loans. So which means that if we go down the conventional 5% route, the cost to live in this house for 10 years would be $397,000. Factoring in how much we gained in equity, meaning how much value we gained from it as it appreciated versus the expense of it all. And on an FHA 5%, it would cost us $407,000. Conventional 20%, it would cost us $308,000 to live in this home. That's the benefit versus cost of buying. Now, that's from the buying perspective, but you can also compare it towards the rental side. So if you were going to rent a home, very similar size, very similar in nature to this home in Grapevine, so it's instead of you buying it, if you wanted to do the breakdown of what it would look like to rent, then you're looking at this amount in per month, roughly. You can adjust it based off of the rentals that you see in your area, with an annual increase of about 3% per year, which is reasonable. which means that your living cost for 10 years would have been $493,000 as opposed to the amount that you see up here in the buying column. So buying versus renting, you get to see that in one screen as you're looking at it now. Now, if you want to do your exit strategy after 10 years to see what that looks like, you get to see how much you spent in rent versus how much it would have cost you to buy and own this home for 19 years. This way you get to make the most informed real estate decision based off of the numbers that have historically proved out to be reasonable. Folks, I appreciate the heck out of you. If you found value in this video, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. That's going to really help distribute this video to more people just like you that could use this type of information. So again, if you found value, make sure you hit that like button and also the subscribe button. If you're looking to buy or sell in the Grapevine area and or any part in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, our contact information is down below. Make sure you book a discovery call so we can go through these same numbers with you in your particular case and really go for a very sound investment strategy or a first-time home buying strategy that makes sense for you. Outside of that, thank you again for your time. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, comment down below. Happy to address those as they come up. Outside of that, see you next video, which is going to come up here shortly. Thank you.